Excel is a spreadsheet application. So when I tell spreadsheet, they call it a spreadsheet because this is a huge sheet. Okay, as you move towards right, you move towards down, there are many columns. It's a very huge screen. So that's the reason they call it spreadsheet. But apart from Excel also, there are many other spreadsheet applications. So when you go to Unix operating system, there is one spreadsheet application. When you go to any operating system, they have their own spreadsheet application. Okay, so but MS Excel is from Microsoft company, which is widely accepted spreadsheet. And when it comes to features and all, so this Microsoft spreadsheet application Excel has a lot of them. The very essence of using spreadsheet is to maintain data. See, for example, I can go to Word and start typing. Okay, in books also, I can go start writing. Like you know, right? For mathematics, you should be knowing. So childhood days, we used to have, the book like boxes, right? So it will be easy for us to identify which box is in one column, which box is in another column, and all. So that's the reason even here they have done it the similar way. Okay, and each coincidence where the row and column meets is called as cell. So the highlighted area, this area is one cell now. If I click here, this is one cell. This is another cell. So these all are called as cells. When initially MS Excel started, we had 255 columns. Just 255. So columns are nothing but this labels A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever we have. So those all are columns. So initially we had after Z, it will start with AA, then it becomes AB. It goes on. Then after AZ, it will be BA, then BB, BC, it will go on. The last cell was IV. So this is pertaining to our MS Excel 97. So the version MS Excel 97 that we had. So this was the limit we had. So IV, when you count the number of cells, columns, it will be 255. And when it comes to rows, so here the number you see here 1, 2, 3, 4 on this. So these are rows. So this, if I click here, this is one whole row now. So these rows were initially 65,732 rows were there. So that was the restriction what we had earlier. So you should be knowing, right? Every version of MS Microsoft Office product, any product be it, so there is some enhancement. Similarly, even here in spreadsheet application Excel, there are enhancements. Now, if you scroll towards the right, it will go on, not just 255, it will go on to thousands. And when it comes to number of rows, it goes up to 10 million rows. So what has happened is, now this is directly linked to the available space in the entire system. So this has multiplied to a very large extent. But now, earlier we had that feeling of only 255 columns we can have. If I need some more columns, I have to move that to next spreadsheet. So whenever you open this spreadsheet application, so here we have spreadsheets. Sheet 1, sheet 2. This is a macro. Let us not worry about it. Macro, we'll do it later. Okay, so you will have sheets like this: sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. It goes on. Again, this had a restriction of 255 earlier, but now there is no restriction at all. So it keeps on going. So that is thing now. And whenever you open a spreadsheet, by default, you will be in sheet 1. So you can anytime double click on that name and you can start typing something there. So this is the name of this particular sheet. Okay, and the place where the column letter and the row number coincide, that is the cell. And every cell have an address of its own. So the address of a cell is nothing but it is combination of column letter and the row number. For example, now this is column D and the row number is 5. So this cell address is D5. Similarly, if we go here, column is F and the row number is 13. So this will be F13. Okay, so these are nothing but these are cell address, or you can call it a cell reference. Okay, and one other thing is you can use this Excel as a database as well. When I tell database, so it is not just some data what you feed somewhere in Word and or Word or any other books, but database is something where you can do manipulations to the whole data. You can, what to tell, maintain it in a particular format. Because in Word you can type anything, there is no restriction at all. But whereas in Excel, what you can do is you can restrict. For example, assume that I am going to, maintain data of employees. So I can restrict. For example, if there is an employee working in a company, he should have a name and he should have a employee number. If it is not there, then it means it is invalid data what is entered. So that kind of restrictions we can put on each columns and all. So that is something which you get in Excel, which is not there in our Word. Okay, so each cell, as I told you, has a cell address, and group of cells together is called as a range. So when I select 2-3 cells together, so now I've selected some set of cells here, so I can call this as a range. So a range is nothing but group of cells which are together. I cannot tell, okay, this 2 cell I select here, I go here somewhere, again I select this. I cannot call this as one range. Range is whenever group cells are together, you call that area as a range. And this range you can give a name. For example, you want to do something only for this set of columns. Maybe you want to change the color, you want to change the font or anything. So in that case, if you give a name to this range, next time if you want to do anything, you can just go to that range and do the like what to tell, alteration or changes, whatever you want. Okay, and here in the left side, this is called the name box. So name box will display as the cell address. This is G6, so it is showing G6. And if at all I have a range, okay, now just because E7 is the first column which is selected, it is giving me E7 here. But for this range, if you have to give a name, I can type a name also. So this whole range has a name. And next time, assume that I want to, okay, let us have some data. Okay, now I want to go to that particular range and make the changes, make some color. So in that case, I can just go here. I can click that so it will select that range. So for this, I can put some color. I don't want to give it to everybody. I just want. So in this case, this range helped me. So next time for this range, I have to put others color. I have to select it, or sometimes I might not know which the range details, like from where to where the range. I can select this, or I can end up selecting this one. So in that case, range will help us a lot. Okay, so By default, any text we enter, that column becomes string column. And if I enter numbers, so that will become a number column for me. So text is always left aligned, number is always right aligned. So with that, we can get to know whether it is a number or a text. Okay, so this is one thing about it. And you have fonts. So various fonts, just like Word, you have here wherein you can choose from. So okay, you can give any font to your text, whatever you have. Size you can give. Okay, and if at all you have some data, maybe I will tell number, name, age, or something like that. Okay. Okay, so if you see all numbers are right aligned, text is left aligned. So this is also a number, it is right aligned. So in this case, what I can do is I can make this a table. So these lines, whatever cells, you know, right? So cells, you got to know what it is. It is the combination of column and row number. But even though you can see a box kind of thing here, right? It is all thing. That is called as grid line. So grid line is the lines what you see. But actually, when you print this page, for example, in Word, whatever you type, you print, that will come on the paper, right? Similarly, in Excel, if you try to print this, you will not get these lines in the printout. Let us try printing. Control T, I will do. Here, there is no line. So these lines, whatever you can see now, that is called as grid line. So grid lines will not be printed, but you have some data here, which is in kind of format, and you want some lines to it. So you can add a table for this. So for that, you have this here. So this file, home, insert, draw, page layout, whatever you have, this is called as a menu bar. So once you click that, you will get all the options below that. Go to insert, so insert whatever you have option you get. Then go to draw, so you get draw options. Then go to page layout. Similarly, you get it for all the menus. And the down part here, wherein you see all these icons, these are called as icons: paste icon, cut icon, copy, paintbrush, format painter. These all are icons. So this whole thing is called as ribbon. Ribbon will be displayed based on the menu selection you have. If you go to insert, so this is insert ribbon. These are icons from insert. When you go to page layout, again the ribbon changes. Okay, so in ribbon you have all the features of Excel, and Excel features, there is no count of it. I cannot tell you there are 1,000 features, there are 2,000 features. There are n number of features. Okay, so here with this border lines, we can give table format. So now if I print it, so I will have table structure. So these tables can be this border line, we can use it. And again, there are a lot of options. You want a thick border. There are a lot of things. I think you can explore that, right? So double line you want down, you want only thick line below, you don't want anything on the top. So there are a lot of options here. And even the line color, by default it is black, so automatic it is black. Text color is also black automatically. That also you can change from this palette here. So line color, I can make it this. So now, see, if I draw, the line is different. So line color I can change, but by default it is always black. Then, okay, so the line style also, just one line or dotted line you want double line, you want thick line, you want some designs in the line. So all that can be selected. So that's about this. And you have one more beautiful feature called as Format Painter. So what happens is, assume that I have written something here, and assume that I make it bold and I give some color to it. Okay, some design I have done here. So similarly, whatever is here, I want it to one more column. So in that case, what I can do is I can go to this cell, hit this Format Painter. So you see a paintbrush here now. So whatever format you have for this M6, that format is captured now. And wherever I want, I can go just click it. The same format will be applied to that particular cell. And it is not that only one cell, I can apply it to many cells also. We'll tell Format Painter. So this is a very beautiful feature, Format Painter. Sometimes to maintain uniformity, so you have to, if you have, I mean, that comes into handy only when you have a lot of data. So when you want uniformity, then you can use this Format Painter and copy the format of that text. I mean, color, the text size, and font, what font you have, that can be copied. Okay, one other beautiful feature what Excel has is called as autofill feature. So what happens is, whenever you you have to but tell it what exactly you want, what kind of maybe calculation also. See, let me do something. I will type 111. So assume that I want to type this 111 100 times. In that case, I can go to this right corner down. So the mouse pointer now it is a cross, right? When you go to this corner, it changes into a plus kind of thing, and that is called as a fill handle. So when I drag it, it fills. So I need not, if at all I have some word or some name or whatever it is, if you want to type that several times, I can go to this fill handle and drag it. That is one way of doing. Or other thing I can do is I can go to that thing. I can copy paste. So here I have copy. I hit a copy. Then I come here, select. Then I hit a paste. So copy paste also I can do, or I can go to the fill handle, that is the below right corner, and drag it. So then what happens? The text is copied. But assume that now I want 1, 2, I have typed. I don't want 1, 1, 1, 1. Instead, I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Something like that. Even in that case, if I do this, 1, 1 will come. But if there are 1, 2, I should select this 2 and then start dragging. So it keeps increasing. So this is a very good feature of this fill handle. Assume that I put it something like this: 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, only few examples I should give. Later on, it will keep adding that way. So now all are odd numbers. Similarly, I can do for even numbers also. Not odd and even alone. Assume that first number is 1, second number is 4. Okay, then I have added, there is 4 difference, right? It will add in the same similar way. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 19. So it is adding. So any format I give, so that will just copy that and start updating values for us. So this is autofill, and there are certain texts also. For example, I have Monday, and just I do this. It is added Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and but sometimes I just want MON only 3 letters. So that also can be done. Similarly, I type January and I drag it, you'll get all this. I can type only JAN and then do it. It is only 3 characters. And again, even format of the character. If I type first letter capital and then this and then drag it, so it will be in a similar format. So here I have lowercase, everything is lowercase. Here I have only first character in uppercase, so it is similar to that. So now this one, it is, I mean, everybody knows, right? So there is January, February, Monday, Tuesday. But assume that you have a company of your own and you have some 10 people working for you. Their names also you want to do something like this. So even in that case also, you can save their names in a list. And whenever you type one of the names from that list and use a fill handle and drag, so it will add all the names there for us. Okay, that also can be done. I mean, usually you do it, right? If there is a company, you want to do some calculation every month or every week, you want all their names to be written. So one thing is you can go to the previous, file or whatever. You can copy all the names from there, come back here and paste it. That is also there. That is also one way of doing. But apart from that, you want to automate it, you can still do it. Okay, this is about autofill and all. I mean, I don't want to, I wanted one format to be followed, but unfortunately, I didn't even prepare that format. If I had that, then we could have gone according to that one by one. Okay, so you know what is bold, italic, underline, right? So that is very simple. And this table giving border, you can do it. Then this is fill color. So any particular cell, you can fill colors. So with this option, you can fill it any color you want. Then this is your text color. By default, it is black always. You can change it into anything. Okay. And nextly, this whole box is for alignment. So once you see this, you will understand it is left align, right align, center align. So you can see this. This is all left align now, center align, right align. So usually if you do some formatting reports and all, you usually hit a center line and then do it. So just above this, even here you see it is like center only. What is the difference between these and this? So whenever you can, what you can do is you can merge cells. For example, assume that I'll put a name. East, West. So maybe employee name is AA. So in East he does 200 sales. In West he does 500 sales. And again, you might have same. This is for some month. This is for another month. In this case, you don't want this AA to be repeated. You want to merge this, make it as one. So that you can do using this merge. See, if I hit a merge, so now you will see only one box, one cell. See, though it is taking the name as E5, but actually it is E5 and E6 together. You see here, it is taking as E5, but it is E5 and E6 together. In this case, so you can see the letter in E6. Like where exactly you want it, whether you want it in E5 or E6, and again here you want a left align, right align. So for that you can use this tab. So if you do this one, it is center. This is top. This is bottom. So with this, it's also we can use this one. So this is all about aligning. And sometimes you have some data like this. You want, you can instead of left to right or right to left, you can change it also. This particular thing orientation, you can change the text however you want. So here you have this one. I can do it something like this. So that is the orientation of a text. And even letters you have typed. Usually when you type from left to right, you type, right? You change that to right to left. You can change that to, as you type, instead of going towards right, it has to go down. That also you can do with the orientation. Same with the same orientation format cell, you can do all that. Okay, here you have this orientation, general. Okay, this is again font, border style if you want, fill, protection. Okay. Okay, this text control you have here. So what happens is, by default, you will have fixed, what to tell, column size. So this column size is fixed, but usually what happens, the names can be bigger, numbers are smaller. In that case, for the name column, you can make it a big column. So when you right click, usually nobody would do a right click and then go, and then they will not change. So you can directly change here. You can go on top of the column letter and you can drag. So this name has become big now. So let me just horizontal, where it is. Okay, so I can do, and some name can be too big also. So by default, what happens is it is hidden. So though whatever I have typed, it is there in that cell, but just for the visibility reason, how much ever big the column is, only that much will be displayed. Other things will be hidden. So I don't want it to hide. I want it to, to show the full name or full data, whatever I've entered. In that case, I can do a wrap text here. So it is showing everything for me. If I remove it, it will show whatever, how much ever big the column is, only that much data it is going to show me. Okay, that is this wrap text. What else we had? Okay, we had this one. I wanted to tell this. So wrap text is that there is something called a shrink to fit. So now the column size you have set something. Maybe for some reason you don't want to make that column bigger or smaller. You want it to be the same length, but the text inside that might be bigger or smaller. So when it is bigger, you can tell shrink to fit. So what happens then, in that column only it will try to adjust everything. that is this, and you have this merge cell. So this two cells are merged now, E5 and E6. So that's the reason it is enabled here. And you have this text direction, right to left you can do left to right. As you type, usually, I think Muslim countries, right, they write it in different way. They write it from right to left. Ours by default is left to right. Okay, these are few things with text, and I don't want to go through this, changing font, color, and all. Right, that is all fine. What we will do? Let me remove that. Okay, so in Excel, basic thing is most of the time it is used for doing some calculations. Okay, so Excel is, it has an inbuilt calculator for us, and there are two ways of. Okay, let me tell you other thing before going to the formulas and all. So I was telling you about the cell address, right? You are aware of cell address now, right? So this cell address is, you're able to see my screen, right? E12, yeah, perfect. So E12 is there. So assume that, let me write. So some numbers are there. I'm not telling about any specific what to tell scenario, but maybe some data you have, and every time you want to you have this value, you want to add +1 and put it here. So you have 2 here, I want to put 3 here. Then you have a 3 here, I want to make it as 4. 5 here, then I want to. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to just add 1 to this number and put it in this column. So, as I told you, it is a calculator is inbuilt with Excel. So I can use 2 different ways for doing that. One is directly I can use mathematical symbols. You know mathematical symbols, right? Plus symbol is for adding, minus symbol is for subtracting, then into symbol we have for multiplication, then for dividing you have that slash symbol. So we can directly use that symbols, mathematical symbols, for doing all the mathematical calculations. Or apart from that, you also have inbuilt functions which you can use to add, subtract, or whatever you want to do. So there are various functions. So you can use those functions for doing mathematical calculations. But before that, I want to tell something called as cell referencing or cell reference. Okay, so when you have to write a formula or a function or whatever it is, you need to write it based on the cell address, right? So here I want to write a formula. I want to take cell address of 2, that is D4 I want to take, add 1 to it. So every time before I start writing a function or a formula writing formula means using our mathematical symbols, we write a formula. So I should start with the equal sign. So equals, I should give the reference D4. Okay, D4 is the cell. Then I'll use symbol plus and I'll tell 1. It's very simple. So I have used the cell reference. So though, see, I can be somewhere else here. I can still tell D4 plus 1. It will give me 3. So it is going back to D4. Whatever is there in D4, it is taking that, adding 1 to that, and giving me the result here. So it's not that only in this sheet. I can have multiple sheets in a. Okay, so this is called, it was sheet 1 here, right, earlier. So we changed it. By default, it will be sheet 1. But as I told you, you can keep changing the name to anything you want. So this Excel file, whatever is the one file is called as, in Word, we call it as a document, right? Word one file is called as a document. In document, you can have multiple pages. Similarly, in Excel here, we will have something called as workbook. So in workbook, you can have multiple sheets. So now we have only one sheet, we can have multiple sheets also. So this whole thing is called as workbook. So one workbook, one name. If I save this file name, it will become the workbook name. So we can refer to any other sheet also from this sheet and write a function or a formula. That is the essence of Excel. So whenever you have some HR data or something, so you can have various details about your employees, right? So in that case, different sheet, you might have to want to take data from different sheet and then write a formula, arrive at some value or some sum or whatever it is. So that's the reason you can refer to multiple sheets, and then you can write a formula to get your desired output. And in that case, whenever we are referring to a particular cell, you can refer to a particular cell in a different way. One is called as absolute referencing. Another one is called as relative referencing. And you can mix these two together, make it as a mixed referencing. So I go here, I am referring to D4, right? So this is I am referring to this value directly. Now we have this formula, right? Fill handle we have, right? Fill series. We can fill a series. If I drag here, what do you think should be the answer now? It will be 3 always, everywhere? No, it is changing. So in this cell, if I type a formula D4 plus 1, when I go to next cell, it is not taking D4, instead it is taking D5. We go here, it is taking D6. So when I drag it, what is happening is it is referring to the neighboring cell. It is not referring to that particular D4 only. So this neighboring cell changes whatever it is doing by itself. It is doing it with relative referencing. So with relation to this, the cell which is before that is where we find formula. When I drag it, in this cell, it will take the cell which is related to that, which is on the left side. When I go to this cell and see, it has taken the cell which is towards the left of it. So relatively, it is changing the address of the cell also. So this is relative referencing. By default, any referencing you do, whenever you do this copy, cells, you do a fill series and all. So it will refer to each cell values relatively. For example, assume that this is there. If I drag it towards right, so here the formula is E4 plus 1. So it has again relatively, it has taken this value. Here, the cell which is on its left, it is taking and adding 1. If I write a formula here, it is taking the one here and then adding 1 to it. If I do this again, it is same. But maybe there is what to tell a situation or a requirement. I mean, I don't know. I cannot give you, absolute example exactly when you can use it, but there are chances, right? all the time, assume that you have one value here, 100. So I don't want this plus 1. Assume that I am adding something like this. D4 plus, I want to add 100 to this. So 100 plus 2 is 102. But if I do this, it became 5. I wanted it to be plus 3. I wanted the value here is 100 plus this 5. But what is happening is just because of this relativity, D4, D3, right? So when I go down, it will take D5, D4. I don't want that way. I want this D3 to be always there. So in that case, instead of referring relatively, I want to refer to this value directly. So one way what I can do is instead of telling D3 here, I can tell 100. Get me, right? If I do this, it is not right. But what if I change this into 102? Now this value is incorrect. So here again I should change it to 102. Then again I have to make this fill handle changes. I don't want to do that. I want a formula I should write. If I tell it has to refer to this only. In that case, I have to use a referring called as absolute referencing. So for absolute referencing, you use a dollar symbol. Dollar euro, no, right? So here, D4 plus 102, right? So I will remove this 102. I will put this D3. So the value is right. So instead of telling D3, if I tell D3, if I go to next column, that D3 will become D4, right? If I do a fill handle. See, this become D4. I don't want it to be become D4, but it should be D3 only always. In that case, I have to insert a dollar symbol here. When I have a dollar here, this is doing a absolute referencing. And now if I drag, got this. So here I go, this D3. But here, this first value, it is changing, if you see. So because I don't have a dollar sign here, so it is relatively changing its value. Because I have a dollar here, then what happens? It will be referring to that $3, $D, $3 only. So this is absolute cell referencing. So whenever you are doing a reference from this sheet to another sheet also, if you give a dollar sign and do it, then it will refer to this. Now, if this value, I'll make it as 200, so all other values changed accordingly. This changes because it is referring to this value always in all the places. Got it right? Okay, but one other catch here is I have put this dollar sign next to D and I have also put it next to 3. In this case, I could have done this also. I'll tell D $3. Then also my result is same. So here what I'm doing is I'm only changing the row number. So if I put a dollar before the row number, so that becomes always 3. It will not change 3, 4, 5, 6. Similarly, if I drag it on the right side, so the column D, whatever is there, that will become E, F, G, H. See, F, G, H, I, J. But 3 is not changing. Right? If I put a dollar here, now you see this D is same. It is not changing. So absolute referencing also is called as mixed referencing. So this is absolute. It is called as mixed when you have one of them with dollar and one of them without dollar. Either column letter or row number. See, cell is a combination of column and row. So with column you can have a dollar, with row you can have a dollar. You have dollar in one place, in other place if you don't have a dollar, then that referencing is called as mixed referencing. So by default it is relative referencing. So when you copy a formula from one place to another, maybe it can be anywhere you can copy. So what happens? Relatively it will take the cell values. For example, okay, now by thing I will just do it as D3. This is what we had, right? Okay. Now similarly, assume that I have some value here. So this formula I'll copy, Control C. I go here, I'll paste it. Now if I do this, it is coming. So what has happened here is it is changing 07, 06. Go here 08, 07, 09, 08. So it is changing relatively. If you put it here, instead of having D, if you go to this column and put it will become B. Because I put it here in this column, it is taking O. If I have put somewhere here, it would have taken column S. So relatively it will change wherever I go. But absolute is where it will remain the same. So for me to put an absolute referencing, I should use $sign. Okay, and mixed I told you, right? One column, either column or the row, you can change it. Other one you can keep it constant.